Now we can get into the bucket system. And just to kind of carry on without what I was just talking about. So with that lineup construction that I'm thinking about doing, you have Sungjae and Lowry, Shane Lowry as your 10K golfers. We have 8 different 9K golfers. Now, depending on the tee times and the marquee tee times, will really determine how many different lineups you can build. But with Sungjae, you obviously include him and each guy in the 9K range. That's 8 golfers. Again, if Sungjae is not paired up with one of these 8 golfers, that means there are 8 different lineups we can create. That same is going to be said for Shane Lowry. So 8 and 8, that's 16. Now I can't make 10 golfers each, 10 different lineups with each combination, because that'd be 160 golfers or 160 lineups. So I'm probably still cut that down to 5. Honestly, that's 80. So 16 times 5 would be 80. So maybe, I don't know, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll go 7 and 6 or something similar to that. But I like doing it that way. It gives me enough variety. Hopefully it'll get us on the right 7 and 6K golfers and maybe in the right 8K golfers. We'll see. And of course, then I'll also do some non-10K golfers, but I'm certainly not going to do that same combo with how many 9K golfers we have and how many 8K golfers we have. We have, what, 10 8K golfers? So that's already, just creating one combination of each of those, like one 9K with each 8K golfer, and you do that for every 9K golfer, you would have 80 different lineups that way. So anyways, let's move on. I just wanted to add that little piece after ending the review of the Genesis Invitational. All right. Here's the bulk of the video. It's going to be the bucket system. I will cut these up into smaller segments. The purpose of the bucket system is to find different ways to build our lineups. You can't just select 6 of the same stat. You can't. Here, I'll even prove it to you. Like if we went to 2020 and somebody was telling you, hey, recent form is the best indicator of success heading into a tournament. Okay, let's put that to the test. I have recent form dating back the last 7 weeks. That's 2 months worth of data. I wouldn't go back an amount of rounds. I would go back only a time frame because golf is psychological. I don't care what you did 60 rounds worth of data when your 60th round was half a year ago. Don't care. I also don't care if 24 rounds, your 24th round was 6 months ago. I want to just know what happened in the last 2 months. So with that being said, last 7 weeks covers that for me. And we go top down. Joaquin Niemann was your best golfer coming in with recent form. He missed the cut. So right away, if you're just like, yep, I'm starting with Joaquin Niemann doing it that way. And maybe not. Maybe you're just like, nah, I'm going to be contrarian and go with Louis Oosthuizen. He finished 30th. He was not in the optimal lineup. He was not even in the GPP winning lineup. But you could also be like, well, then, look at Billy. He got a top 20. Still wasn't in the optimal and still wasn't in the GPP winning lineup. So that's what we're chasing. Optimal lineup first. And if we miss it, hopefully we hit the GPP. It's just a fun way to say it, but yeah. We could probably skip Satoshi and Garrick Higo as well as Ryan Armour. They're in 6 and 7Ks. Can't ignore these guys. But then, of course, then we finally get to Keith Mitchell. But wait, there was Sungjae right underneath that at 11K. He missed the cut. Probably wouldn't go with Grayson Sig. Cam Young seems like a great choice. $8,600. He only got 16th. Still not in the GPP winning or optimal lineup. So what? We've just went through 11 golfers. And I can even go down to Brian Harmon and say 12 golfers. One of those guys was in the GPP winning lineup, but none of them were in the optimal lineup. So how do you figure out which golfers to avoid and which golfers to choose if recent form was your best indicator? Because now we just get into a big pile of golfers. Berger and Sepp Straka were in the optimal lineup together, 1st and 4th. So that would be great to build your lineups around. But they're here in the middle of the pack of, best finishes, like average finishes between 20th and 40th place over the last 7 weeks. How do you figure that out? And or how about this? let's take a look at approach the last 7 weeks. I also have those stats here. One optimal lineup golfer in the last, or in the top 19, top 20. I mean, you had a GPP winning lineup guy here with Alex Noren, but look at how many 85s indicate a miscut. So okay, not last 7 weeks. No, approach that can't be right. How about season long? Okay, Daniel Berger was a top guy. Optimal lineup, perfect. Louis was up there, was not in the optimal. Mito, Russell Knox. Okay, we got Shane Lowry. So maybe you got Shane and Daniel Berger correct. Well, did you get the next 11 guys correct? Or were you able to get that 12th guy correct? Like, this is my issue when certain things are said. Like, this is a ball striker's paradise. This is a second shot type of golf course. Okay, so when we look at an approach, are your top 6 golfers, like top 6 notable names in your optimal lineup? We could say yes with Daniel Berger, but then no to Louis Oosthuizen, no to Mito. Russell probably wasn't a notable guy, if we're being honest, but yes to Shane Lowry. Okay, cool. So we have 2 out of 5 golfers that were in the optimal lineup. Wonderful. Well, let's keep going. Vegas has decent course history, but we wouldn't include him. Joaquin Niemann, he would have been one. No, he missed. Aaron Wise would have been one. No, he missed the cut. Oh, but Brooks Koepka. Yeah, no, well, he finished 16th. So now we're 2 for 8, if I'm doing my math correct. Oh, then we finally hit with Gary Woodland. Okay, cool. So now we're 3 for 9. And then we wouldn't include Chris Kirk because he's $7,500. But of your top notable guys, less than 50% of them were in the optimal lineup, or even in the GPP winning lineup, or even inside the top 10 or top 20. So it's very foolish to be chasing some of these stats. Now, hey, if you get Berger correct and you get Shane Lowry correct, wonderful. That's awesome. But I guarantee you people were on Louis Oosthuizen last year. He was number 1 in my model. People were on Joaquin Niemann. He just came off a win at the Genesis Invitational, which we obviously figured out during the review. Or even Aaron Wise. You know, like, I guess what I could do is filter out by condition. And let's just say greater than or equal to, how about $8,000? So you can see there's 3 guys in the optimal lineup. And there's also 3 guys in the GPP winning lineup. Otherwise, everyone else was either not in the GPP, not in the optimal, or they missed the cut. So there are 22 total guys, and it was 3 golfers one way or the other. GPP winning lineup or optimal lineup. Those aren't good percentages. And these are your, well, these bottom guys aren't good with approach. These are all negative approach guys, which is kind of funny because, like, you know, when it comes to approach, Noren and Mitchell were in your GPP winning lineup, and they did not have, they had negative approach, season long, or actually just yearly approach stats. And then I'm sure they had better, Noren was 0.5 and Keith Mitchell was 0.4 when it came to recent form approach. So yeah, it works out that way. It works out well that way. But like, the whole purpose of the bucket system is to provide variance, because if we open this up, open the salaries back up and sort by top-down position, Kurt Kitayama was a negative approach player. Now, granted, everyone else was positive approach, so that's wonderful, but there's nothing in here telling us the answers about, hey, you want to select the best approach players, or nothing's even saying select the medium approach players. Like, we come down here and we've got a big chunk of them right here. Now, this would be 41st. Woodland would be the 41st best approach player over the last 7 weeks. Chris Kirk would be 43, and I'm just doing that based off of the row numbers over here to the side. And if I scroll down even further, oh, we have Kurt Kitayama down here, who was, what, 86th? Because there are 2 spots up here for headers. 86th in approach. And wait, Shane Lowry had no recent form approach heading into that tournament. So you were kind of blind to some extent. But even if I were to go season-long approach, maybe we'll find better answers. So yeah, we do have better answers. Berger, Lowry, Woodland, Kirk, great approach. Kurt Kitayama, which despite being bad recently, he was okay season long. But those are the delineations. Like, use Kurt Kitayama, for instance. He's obviously a big piece that you need to put in your lineup to hit the optimal and also to hit the GPP winning lineup. Remember, he was really bad. Recent form approach, minus 0.3. But season long, he was okay, 0.177. He was like 35th in the 35th best approach player in the field. Well, when it comes to these other golfers that had, you know, I haven't really done a full analysis on this. So what, 0.17 or 0.185, 0.181 recently versus what, 0.26? Yeah. And 0.25. So they were playing worse recently on approach than they usually do. Now, that's not usually what I hear from the top streamers saying, hey, you want to select this guy because they've been playing, their approach game has been better than usual. Like, there's always give and take. Always select a golfer who has been playing underwhelmingly compared to their baseline. And, well, the vice versa would be like, maybe select golfers who have better approach recently than they do long term. Because obviously you saw that with Kurt Kitayama. Or no, it would be the other way around. Trying to figure out, like I said, I didn't really look into this. The whole purpose that I'm saying with the bucket system is to find variance, is to add variance into your lineup builds. So Sepp Straka was playing just a little bit better than he usually does. Not an indicator that I would figure out to be successful at this event. Oh, Kurt Kitayama was hitting the ball worse. Actually, most of these guys were hitting the ball worse heading into this tournament than they usually do season long. Berger, 0.827 recently. Yeah, okay. Anyways, let's move on. So, your bucket system for this week. Again, the whole purpose is to put variance into your model, essentially. You know, quantifying the psychology is kind of what I'm trying to do with the bucket system. That is the whole premise, the whole purpose that I'm looking for. So if you're following along with me, again, there's a cheat sheet down below. Click that link and go up to File and make a copy. That way you can use the filters that are available. Because we're going to go bucket by bucket. We're going to start with the last year bucket. Now, we have bucket totals for this year. How many golfers are in that bucket versus what we normally see. And of course, we've got success rates, frequency rates, and that all gets plugged into the projections, just so you're aware. Now, when I talk about the minimum projection, we always round down. So this 1.36 for last year 1 rounds down to 1. 2.27 rounds up to 3. And I also like to look at this max projection over in the miscellaneous information because I'm including the sweet spot ranks into here as well. I round up from here as well. Now, remember, I want a 2-point buffer. I always want a 2-point buffer between max projection and minimum projection. It's just the best way to do it. It's what I found out to be the best way. So when we look at last year 2, we would want 0 as our minimum, but a max of 2. Of course, personally, if I'm just hand selecting, I'm just probably selecting 1 golfer at most. But the bucket system or the optimizer will, you want to allow it to, have a 2-point buffer. So we're aware of that. Let's move on. Let's go through this. For the Honda Classic, the last year buckets. Last year 1 is top 20 finish the year before. So here in 2023, we are looking at 2022 top 20 performances or how many golfers are in the field that top 20 last year, we have 11. We normally see 17 or close to 18. Not a high success rate, pretty high frequency rate. So our projection is 1 to 3. And if you're following along with me again on the cheat sheet, you can also use that DraftKings filter. I'm going to filter by salaries, top to bottom. And I'm also going to just select, I'm going to clear everyone out of last year, the last year bucket, and only select last year one. In the last year one bucket, we have our defending champion, Sepp Straka, and then our second place guy in Shane Lowry. The projection is 1 to 3. So if you wanted to start with a 10K golfer from here, obviously it's, you know, if you wanted a 10K golfer in your lineup, Shane Lowry is the only one in this bucket. Obviously, it's a good bucket. Not a high success rate, but the frequency rate of having at least one guy inside the top 10 is about, it's 77%, which doesn't make this a slam dunk. So starting with Lowry, just from this first bucket we're looking at, is a bit risky. I actually don't mind most of these guys in here. Like Lee Hodges is a guy that I don't mind playing. Svensson wouldn't be a guy I wouldn't, or he's a guy I wouldn't mind playing either. Same goes with Billy Horschel or even Chris Kirk. So it's up to you. 1 to 3 is what you want to select from this bucket. Moving on to the next one. Course history 2, 0 to, or sorry, last year bucket 2, 0 to 2. So let's take a look here. We've got Denny McCarthy, Taylor Pendrith, Christian Bezuidenhout, and then a couple, you know, Callum Tarrant and Dylan Wu, Bill Haas, and Andrew Kozin, which I'm not even sure who Andrew Kozin is. Out of these golfers, I probably like Pendrith the most. I mean, he is 6th in my model. I don't mind Denny. Don't get me wrong. I think Denny could do well at this track. But it's probably Pendrith. I could go to Bezuidenhout. Personally, I'm only selecting one guy in my lineups at most when I'm going through and using the optimizer. I could see like a Pendrith and McCarthy, you know, 8-9K guy being in the top 10. I could also see Bezuidenhout somehow getting up there with one of these two guys as well. So if I'm building 10 lineups, 8 of them is just going to have one. Let's put it this way. 6 of them will have at least 1. 2 of them will have 0, and 2 of them will have 2. That's kind of how I look at it. That's probably what I would do. Let's move on. Last year 3s, 0 to 2 here as well. And we have JT Poston, Johnny Vegas, Steven Yeager, who's Barry's boy last week. Yeah, 0 to 2, that's cool. I can live with 0 to 2. I'm not gonna reach for any of these guys. If the optimizer selects them, all the better. But I really have nothing to say. I don't mind Vegas. I don't mind JT Poston. Davis Riley actually intrigues me because this is a Bermuda golf course, quote unquote Bermuda golf course. And he's played most of his golf on Bermuda. So I don't mind like Davis Riley. This is a pretty good price tag for him. So yeah, I could see this bucket having 2 golfers from it being in the top 10. The next one, 0 to 2 is the projection here as well, although it's not as successful. So last year 4s. Garrick Higgo, Patrick Rogers, who I'm not sure. I think I saw out for him on DraftKings. I'm not sure if he actually withdrew or not, but just be cognizant of that. I will update this once I find out. Aaron Rye seems like an interesting choice, but I'm not going out of my way to select any of these guys. Personally, again, this kind of reminds me of the last year bucket 2. Probably just selecting 1 at most. Maybe I put 2 golfers from this bucket in 2 of my lineups out of 100, really, out of 100. So do with that as you will. Next one is golfers who missed the cut at this event last year. 1 to 3 is a projection. And that, adding the sweet spot rank, 2.00. Is that below or above? It is below. So that's a 2. Which really means in the optimizer, unless the add-on golfers actually boost this up, I would drop this down to 0 to 3. I'd let the optimizer select up to 3, but I'm no longer making it select 1. So that being said, who is in this bucket? I think Sungjae's in this bucket, right? Yes, he is. Sungjae is in this bucket, which isn't a bad bucket, by the way. Missing the cut isn't terrible. But so is Aaron Wise. And a bunch of high 6 and, you know, various 7K golfers that I probably don't mind playing. A lot of these names aren't sexy. I mean, I'm not going to play Patrick Harrington, although he has played well here not too long ago. Just, he's too old. You're just old. I'm joking, but there's no upside in playing Patrick Harrington. I don't like any of these guys, if I'm being honest. Now that I think of it, now that I see their names, I don't like any of it. 0 to 3, and it's a very good likelihood that 0 golfers from this bucket are inside the top 10. But yeah, I like Sungjae or Aaron Wise. Like, I'm probably going with one of those guys in my lineup, and I could put 2 of them together. Like, I don't mind anchoring around Sungjae and Aaron Wise as long as they're not playing together. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then the last bucket, playing this or not playing this tournament the year before, I'm projecting somewhere between 2 to 4. Now, when you add in the sweet spot ranks, it actually drops it down to 3 for the maximum, which all it really does is drop my minimum down from 2 to 1. So my minimum projection, because this one is lower, this max projection is lower than 3, the 2-point buffer makes it a 1. My minimum projection is 1. Max is 4. So really, I'm looking at 1 to 4. Last year 6s. And a guy, this includes people who've never played this event, but I don't feel super confident in playing golfers who've never played this event. I guess, I mean, we'll look at the course history 6 bucket just to kind of confirm that, because course history 6 means they hadn't played the event either. I guarantee you Matt Kuchar has played this event before. My data goes back to 2013. There is a chance he hasn't played this tournament since before 2013. It's a very high likelihood that's the case. And he probably has to play this tournament for, you know, X, Y, or Z reason. I don't mind going to someone like Matt Kuchar. I'm liking Harris English a little bit because he played really well last week. And he doesn't have terrible course history, and he has at least some course history. I like that. I guess I'm not going to talk about the rest of these guys, but I'm most likely looking for golfers who do have course history here that did not play last year. That's kind of what I'd be eyeing up. But again, I'll let the optimizer make the selections for me. Again, buckets during the Genesis Invitation were 35 out of 36 correct. I haven't seen it lower than 32, I think. Actually, no. The beginning of the year, we didn't have all the buckets available to us. Once it's opened up to 36, we haven't seen anything lower than 33. So I'm pretty confident using the optimizer as well as the bucket system. 1 to 4 is what we want to select from here, and we got a ton of 7K golfers and above. Ben Griffin is by far my favorite golfer from this group, but I guarantee he's going to be everyone's favorite golfer from this group. Just kind of a heads up with Ben Griffin. Let me lock this in. So his Bermuda stats. He's the best Bermuda golfer so far in the field. Now, he only has 7 events. He has the best overall average at 21.14. 28.57 is a pretty good top 10 percentage, but you can see Webb Simpson down here is a little bit better. Now, excuse me. Ben Griffin hasn't played, he hasn't finished worse than 60th place on the PGA Tour on Bermuda tracks. So that actually is something that interests me quite a bit. Webb, on the other hand, hasn't been playing that great as of late. Is this the time to get back to him? I don't know. He did not look good at the Sony Open. I'm very cautious in playing Webb Simpson. But yeah, Ben Griffin would be one of my favorites. He doesn't have course history, so we'll see what the course history buckets say. But that wraps up your last year buckets. I am going to go into this filter, select everyone. I encourage you to do the same thing. Just select all, and let's go to the next bucket, or the next stat. We're gonna look at the last week buckets now, and again, following the same things that we were talking about with the last year buckets. 0 to 2 last year ones. So when I come back in here, I'm gonna clear everyone out of the last week buckets and go to last week ones. Lowry is in this bucket. We want 0 to 2, by the way. So not a, well, actually, let's go back. 100% frequency rate of having at least one guy from this bucket inside the top 10. Usually we see 13. This year we see 8. So it's not, I mean, we have 5 less golfers than we normally do. That's not a good, it's not a good sign. Like this could be the time where we won't see one golfer from the top 10 from this bucket. But we got some good names in here. Lowry, Kuchar, McCarthy, those are great names. Harris English is what I was just talking about. I don't even mind Lee Hodges, Danny Willett. Like Danny Willett, I think is a sneaky play. So yeah, 0 to 2. Yeah, I could see playing 2, but again, I'll let the optimizer do its work. Going to last week 2 buckets, 0 to 2 is a projection here. The actual max projection, including the sweet spot ranks, actually bumps it up. So it's still 0 to 2, but it looks a lot better than this projection here. So last week 2s, we have Thomas Dietrich in here, Steven Yeager, Aaron Rai, some really good young players, honestly. Really good young players. I don't mind playing any of them, but I would probably only just do a max of 1. Probably that's how comfortable I feel with this. I thought Dietrich played here last year. Could be wrong. That is a negative Ghost Rider. Okay. Just double checking. I always want to double check. So anyways, yeah, 0 to 2. I like Dietrich. I don't mind Yeager. I don't mind Rai. Justin Suh actually is kind of interesting. SH Kim, I don't mind either. And then I probably stay away from these guys. And Barry, I'm also looking at you with Kevin Tway. What did he do last week? Did he miss the cut? I bet you he missed the cut. Oh, wait, whoa. We're in the last week 2. That means he was between 20th and 40th place. Duh. Okay. So all 3 6K golfers of yours hit last week of making the cut. So maybe we go back to Barry's advice with cut makers, because he had Tway in there. He had Steven Yeager. I don't know what Luke listed. He might be in the next bucket we talk about, which is the last week 3s, that 40 to 60 range. It says 1 to 2, but if this number isn't over 2, then that automatically bumps this number down to 0. And since the sweet spot, when we add the sweet spot ranks to it, doesn't actually bump it over 2, it's going to be a 0 to 2 bucket. But maybe play it with a little bit more confidence than the other ones that we were just talking about. And this one has Sung Jae in it to go along with Johnny Vegas, Sepp Straka, Adrian Moronk, Christian Bezuidenhout, Ben Taylor. Those are all really good names. I don't mind playing any of those guys. The other ones, I don't know. Matthias Schwab, I think, yeah, he finished 7th here last year. So he's an interesting play. But, I mean, it's Sung Jae or bust, right? That's kind of what we got to think about this year. It's kind of interesting that him and Sepp Straka are in the same bucket, who is the defending champion of this tournament. So I don't know. I do like Sung Jae. And if it's not Sung Jae, I don't mind playing Vegas. I don't mind playing Bezuidenhout. That's probably it. Next bucket, last week 4s, that 60 to 80 range. 1 golfer's in here. I think we're just going to skip it. 0 to 1 is going to be the projection. I guess let's just look really quick. Who is it? Is it Luke List? I hope it's Luke List. JB Holmes. Yeah, okay. Pass. Hard pass. The next one, missed cut at the Genesis Invitational. This is 1 to 2 as well, but of course, because this is an over 2, we bump it down to 0. So 0 to 2 will be this projection, but feel comfortable selecting 1. We got Billy Horschel, Alex Noren, JT Poston. Again, Patrick Rogers might actually be out. He might have withdrawn. Lanto might also withdraw because he's been dealing with issues as well. 0 to 2 is a perfect projection because I don't like, none of these guys scream confidence to me. But of course, this is a weak strength of field, so maybe no one screams confidence, period. So, I don't know. We'll see. And then the last bucket, I'm projecting somewhere between 2 to 5. Max projection is 4 when it includes the sweet spot rank, so that would drop it down to 2 for the minimum. Well, the minimum's already 2, so 2 to 5. Last week 6s. There's 92 golfers in this bucket. We are not going to talk about most of them. Starts with Chris Kirk. Minwoo Lee is here. Aaron Wise, Taylor Pendrith. Those are good names. Davis Riley, we already talked about earlier. I like that. I actually don't mind Will Gordon. He's a Southeast boy. He plays on these Bermuda courses. Again, Davis Riley is also one of these Bermuda type of golfers. I like Benny Ann as well at this event. So pick your poison. 2 to 5. Ooh, Akshay Bhatia is down here as well. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's move on. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about more of these guys. Moving into our course history buckets. Course history 1, 0 to 1. But of course, 2-point buffer means 0 to 2. We have 2 golfers in that bucket. Curious to know who these ones are. Lee Hodges and Matthias Schwab. Well, I wouldn't mind playing either of them, but I'm going to cap this as at 1. I'm certainly not. Yeah, their top 20 finishes last year were their first times playing the event. So that's why. Play with caution, 0 to 1. Course history 2s, 1 to 3. And that stays the same when we include the sweet spot ranks. Sungjae, Shane Lowry, Taylor Pendrith. Yeah, all golfers I like. Golfers I do not mind playing whatsoever. So 1 to 3. Yeah, I could see myself playing 3 of these guys. Like, I could imagine playing like Sungjae at 10-7, Pendrith at 89, and maybe even another 8K golfer like Vegas, Bizanehout. I could even drop down to Benny Ann, Will Gordon, guys I was just talking about. I don't mind that. So yeah, 1 to 3. I think that's fine. Course history 3s. This is a bigger bucket, 2 to 4. And that doesn't change when we include the sweet spot ranks. 100% frequency rate of getting at least 3 golfers inside the top 10 from this bucket. And 100% frequency rate of getting at least 1 in the optimal lineup. So 33 golfers to choose from. Play with confidence. Course history 3s. Interesting. Okay. It's led by Chris Kirk, salary leaderboard, followed by Billy Horschel, Alex Noren, Aaron Wise, Denny McCarthy. Those 9K golfers altogether, I like all very much, and I would play each one of them. JT Poston, I'd play. I really like Harris English. And then that probably just drops from there. I like Riley, like I've talked about. That's probably gonna be it. I was hoping to see at least one other young kid that I don't mind playing, but yeah, that would probably be it when it comes to this one. So again, 2 to 4 is what we want to select. So, man, I might just Harris English seems like a really good play. Now that might be me kind of being a little stubborn, wanting to do the 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6 approach because we have a ton of 9K golfers that we could anchor our lineups around. And maybe I'll do that this week, actually. Maybe I will do the method that I was talking about earlier, but then incorporate 9Ks to go with each other. So, yeah. And I mean, selecting 2 of these guys should be pretty simple, pretty easy. Anyways, 2 to 4 from this bucket. Next one to look at, 0 to 2 course history 4s. That's actually pretty on point with the sweet spot ranks being added to it. But no one really worth talking about. What was our projection? 0 to, okay, yeah, 0 to 2. Yeah. That makes sense. 0 to 2. Eric Van Rooyen seems interesting. Danny Willett, I actually do like this week, but then the rest of them, super volatile. yeah, good luck. 0 to 2 though. I'm not saying you should play someone from there, but if you do, be very cautious. Course history 5s. So guys that just don't play this tournament very well. This is like an average of a missed cut. 0 to 2 is the projection, and it's not good even when you include the sweet spot ranks. And it starts with Nick Hardy, which I like, and then it has Brandon Wu in there, which I'm not sure if this is a decent course fit. Growing up in the Northeast and playing out in California. I don't mind someone like Doc Redman. Now he's 99th in my model, which isn't super great, but he grew up on this grass type. So did Kevin Tway. So did Hank Lebiota. He seems like an interesting play. Yeah. Very interesting. I'm probably not playing Nick Hardy. Played college in Illinois State. The Fighting Illini, I should say, University of Illinois. I don't know. I'd have to look more into it, but I'm not beaming with confidence from this group. 0 to 2 is the projection, and that's perfect. Course history 6s, 1 to 2, but of course we drop this down to 0 to 2 because neither the max projection and my normal projections is over 2 or adding the sweet spot ranks in. So this was the conversation about golfers who didn't play last year being a good bucket to select from. Well, we wanted to see, did that also apply to guys who have 0 course history? And the answer is no. So we have a lot of names up here. Like, again, I think Matt Kuchar has played this event before, but it was before 2013. And again, my data only goes back to 2013. The rest of these guys, young boys, 0 to 2, man. That's about it. And I'm cool with that. This is a bucket that hurts me, so be it. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not picking more than 2 golfers from this bucket. That wraps up your course history buckets. So again, on the cheat sheet, go ahead, select everybody from that bucket. So we include everyone else. We're going to go right into the recent form buckets now. So change it on the bucket system to recent form. And we'll start at the top. 0 to 1 recent form 1s. We have 1 golfer in that bucket. Who is it? Jonas Blix. Yeah. Skip. Pass by him. Recent form 2s. 1 to 3 is the max projection. It's so crazy with Jonas Blix. Straight up, he finished 20th, and that's why he has a top 20 recent form average. The next one. 1 to 3, I believe that was what the projection was. Yep, and it stays the same even when we include the sweet spot ranks. Sung Jae's here, Chris Kirk, Matt Kuchar, Denny McCarthy, Thomas Dietrich. 1 to 3. I could see playing 3 of these guys because I really like Benny Ann. I really like Ben Griffin. Really like Sung Jae this week. I could play Kirk. I could play Kuchar. I could play McCarthy. I also really like Thomas Dietrich. So I have myself an issue when it comes to selecting golfers from this bucket. It seems pretty easy if you were not to play Sung Jae because you could pair any of these guys up pretty easily. Pretty easily. Like you could go like a Dietrich or McCarthy, Dietrich, and Ben Griffin. Or perhaps maybe you do 10K and then you have 2 7Ks down here, Griffin and Benny Ann. I wouldn't mind that. I do like Benny Ann at this golf course, so I don't know. Keep that in mind. 1 to 3. Next bucket to look at would be the recent form 3s, and that's a 2 to 4. But this max projection, when we include sweet spot ranks, goes a 3. This drops my minimum to 1. So 1 to 4. So Lowry's in this one, Horschel, Pendrith, a lot of the names we were just talking about. I don't really have a take one way or the other. I kind of already mentioned my anchor strategy this week. I'm going to just stick to that. So I'm not going to tell you one play that I like more than another. I've already kind of mentioned a lot of these names, so I'd just probably check the other bucket video or the other portion of this bucket video to see which ones that I like. But yeah, Pendrith seems decent. All of them seem pretty decent. I really like Taylor Pendrith this week. Recent form fours, 60 to 80 range, 1 to 3. That stays consistent with adding the sweet spot ranks. So let's find 1 to 3. Aaron White, oh, Harris English, right? So a lot of things for me are pointing towards Harris English. Harris English and Ben Griffin are probably some of the top names that keep popping up for me. And that's fine. I don't mind. I could fall on that hill. Like, I think that could be just fine building lineups that way. But of all the golfers in this bucket, and there are a ton, the projection is still, what was it, 1 to 3 or 1 to 4? 1 to 3. 1 to 3. That's insane. 1 to 3. Okay. That actually helps, right? Because this bucket's pretty large. We have 54 golfers in that bucket. Where we normally see around 50. You still just want 1 as a minimum, but 3 as a maximum. So that should help you build lineups, because it's going to take away from the amount of golfers you can select in other buckets. I think it's fine. Recent form 5s, having a really kind of bad recent form. That's what this bucket kind of signifies. So does bad recent form, like the projection is 0 to 2, and that stays consistent with the sweet spot ranks. So starts with Alex Noren and then drops to the 6K range. So yeah, we could see 0 from this bucket pretty easily. I have no confidence in this bucket. So you probably just skip it. And that would be 27 more golfers that you can remove from your player pool. So really you could be select 1 to 3 recent form 4s like we were just talking about. So what if you selected 1 in the following buckets, you know, obviously we're going to skip recent form 5. There's 63 golfers that you need to find 5 spots for. Makes life a little bit easier, a little bit more simple. Because even in this other one, recent form 6s, these are golfers who've not played on the PGA Tour this whole calendar season. And that includes Minwoo Lee, Patrick Harrington, Akshay Bhatia, Pearson Coody. So Pearson Coody I actually like. He's been playing really good golf, I think either on the Korn Ferry Tour or I don't remember, he's still in college. But I've been listening to PGA Tour radio and his name gets called or he gets talked about a lot. So as a young golfer, I don't mind someone like Pearson Coody. I also don't mind someone like Akshay Bhatia. Probably staying away. I'll put him some lineups, but he's 21 years old. He doesn't have a lot of experience on tour, but he has some. So that obviously, I think that goes a long way. Just be wary. Let's see. He has 7 Bermuda events, and overall not super great. Last year, maybe he played 1 event, got 31st place. So yeah, play with caution. Again, not even a high projection out of this bucket. It's 0 to 2. So anyways, let's open this back up to everybody. Let's get into salaries now. So we already went over pass optimal and GPP winning lineups. Kind of went over some structures that maybe work, maybe don't work. I did talk about using pairing the 10K golfer with each 9K golfer, and maybe, you know, building 2 or 3 lineups at a time that way. So like going with let's just look at this. So like Sung Jae, I'm gonna pair him up with each one of the other 9K golfers at least once, but up to 3 times. So that would create me 27 lineups or 24 lineups because there's 8 9K golfers. So that'd be 24 lineups that way. And I'd do the same thing with Shane Lowry. I'd select one of him, and then he'd be in a lineup with one of these guys 3 times. So that would cover, you know, 48 lineups for me. I think, right? 24 and 24. Yeah. 48. Could do it 4 times, could do it 5 times. But I think what then I would do, maybe I do it 4 times. I just like the number 4. 4 is better than 3. Yeah, so if I did that way, then that's 32, 30, that's 64 lineups. Yeah, I could do that. So yeah, I would pair Sung Jae and Billy Horschel 4 times together. Sung Jae and Alex Noren 4 times together. Same goes with Minwoo Lee. Same goes with Kuchar, Wise, McCarthy, Dietrich. Perfect. That's fine. And I do the same thing with Shane Lowry. Maybe I do that 3 times because I'm not super sold on Shane Lowry this week. But I'll have some exposure. And then I'll probably just open the rest up to starting in the 9K range. Maybe pairing 2 or 3 of these guys together, going with like some of these 8K golfers. I don't know. This week seems like a wild week to build lineups. I kind of did cover, like, okay, let's go through kind of the rundown. 0 to 2 10K golfers. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier in the video. It might surprise you what the projection is. There are only 2 golfers in the 10K range. So 0 to 2, meaning they're both live. Putting them together might work. The super high success rate, 40%. And when we went through past optimal and GPP winning lineups, there was a 10K golfer in each one of them. Only one GPP lineup, and that was like GPP 2 in 2020 or 2021. That started with 3 9s and then 3 6s. Otherwise, we basically start with a 10K golfer every single time. It's a 10K and a 9K. So keep that in mind. That's interesting. And also, by the way, in 2018 and 2017, I think it was, it started with a 10-10 or a 10-10 7-7-6-6. That's what your lineup builds were. That success rate for 10K, almost 40%. 100% frequency rate of getting at least one of them inside the top 10. We've seen a max up to 3. Now, not all the time are they in the optimal lineup, so that's the other thing to keep in mind. 80% frequency rate there, but 80% still pretty good. 9Ks, we want somewhere between 1 to 3. 8Ks, 1 to 2, and that doesn't change. Remember, then if this doesn't go over 2, then it drops to the minimum drops to 0, so it'd be 0 to 2. 7Ks, 1 to 3, and the 6K range, I never really play more than 2 6K golfers. I just don't see the purpose of playing more than 2. I also don't see the purpose of playing more than 2 low 6K golfers. So anyone under $6,500, I wouldn't play 2 of them together. I just wouldn't. Very infrequently do 2 golfers in the low 6K be in the optimal lineup. And obviously it shows right here that it's only been a max of 1. High frequency rate of being the optimal lineup, by the way. So don't be afraid to play a low 6K golfer this week. Yeah, I mean, for salaries, it's just wild. There's only 2 10K golfers. That's going to make lineup building like so many different possibilities, but still, I wouldn't shy away from a 10K golfer. So, my opinion. Let's move on to the last bucket, which are strokes gained buckets. I'm not going to explain what these numbers represent. Go watch the bucket system video if you want a more clear idea as to what these buckets pertain to. But all that you need to know, if you're an outsider looking in and you don't want to learn that, is I have in column D the bucket number correlating with the strokes gain bucket they're in. So when I say something along the lines of, for strokes gain 1, you want somewhere between 1 to 3 golfers in your lineup, or at least I'm projecting 1 to 3 to be inside the top 10. You select somewhere between 1 to 3. Based off of however you feel. Now, to add more information to that, there's a 100% frequency rate of at least 1 golfer being inside the top 10 from this bucket. But guess what? We've never seen more than 1 at a time from this bucket being inside the top 10. Now, we have 9 golfers in the field this week, where normally we see about 8. So maybe numbers just provide a little bit more confidence in selecting, maybe a little bit more possibilities of being inside the optimal or the 10 or the top 10. So looking at strokes gained 1 golfers, by the way, here, I'll just do it this way. It's all color coded. So strokes gained 1, Sung Jae Im, Shane Lowry, Chris Kirk, Aaron Wise, Thomas Dietrich. So you already know, I just talked about this with my strategy with salaries. I will go a 10 and a 9. And I would build them, 3 or 4 times together. So Sung Jae, he will be in these groups as long as they're not paired together. at least 3 times with each other. So Sung Jae will be in a Chris Kirk lineup 3 times. He'll also be in a Aaron Wise lineup 3 times and a Dietrich lineup 3 times. That covers the projection 1 to 3. I'm selecting at least 2 just from that start. So I'll be going this route. The next bucket, strokes gained 2, we want somewhere between 0 to 2. So you can see right here, it says 1 to 2, but remember, if this isn't over 2, if none of the max projections are over 2, then we drop it down to 0. So strokes gained 2. Starts with Min Woo Lee, and that's at $9,400. Then it goes to Taylor Pendrith, Sepp Straka. Again, we don't know if Patrick Rogers is actually playing this week. It says out on his DraftKings designation, so I don't know. We'll see. But then we have some interesting 7 and 6K golfers. Pendrith is really the only person I feel confident playing, and I'm sure a lot of people will be. So of this bucket, again, it's 0 to 2, but maybe we select 1. Pendrith might just be a lock for me. Like, I might just lock him in with each one of those 10-9 combos and just deal with whatever havoc comes at the end of it. Strokes gained 3. 1 to 3. This actually drops down to 2 when we include the max projection. So that actually, to me, means it's 0 to 3 is my projection of being inside the top 10. Now, every single year, there's been at least 2 golfers from this bucket inside the top 10. So keep that in mind. That doesn't apply to optimal lineups. And I would also feel the same confidence because, like, it starts with Johnny Vegas, Adrian Moronk, Cameron Davis, Lee Hodges. I don't trust this group. I do like Benny Ann. I don't mind playing him. I also don't mind playing Davis Riley. I like Lee Hodges, and I do like Johnny Vegas, but that's all I'm going to talk about with this group. Strokes gained 4. We want 1 to 3 from this bucket as well. Not a 100% frequency rate on either top 10s or optimal lineups. But let's take a look. Starts with Billy Horschel, Alex Noren, Matt Kuchar, Denny McCarthy. Now, these are negative off the tee golfers with positive putting. So 0 to 2. Or was it 0 to 2 or 0 to 3? I can't remember. No, it's 1 to 3. 1 to 3. Okay. That makes me feel more confident in playing someone like Harris English, like I was already talking about. Him, Jaeger, Willett. I like Ben Griffin. Okay, so already how I'm looking at this, because I think it just works out. So Ben Griffin, pair him up with, say, Benny Ann. I like that so far. Taylor Pendrith, Sung Jae, maybe even Dietrich. I don't mind starting this way. Sung Jae, Dietrich, or even Wise. So what would that look like? 10, 7, 9K, 8,900. That's pretty expensive. 7,600. And then we come down to Ben Griffin. So that's 4 golfers selected. And I have, that's 5 golfers selected. Sad news. I'm showing $44,000 spent, meaning we can't fit another golfer in. Yeah, that's sad. Bummer. I really wanted that to work out. Maybe we just don't go with Sung Jae. Maybe instead go Aaron Wise, Thomas Dietrich, Taylor Pendrith, Benny Ann, Ben Griffin, and now we have $7,400 to play with. And we could add Danny Willett to the mix. I don't mind something like that. I also don't mind like SH Kim, Ben Taylor. Yeah, then it's slim pickings. Oh, Davis Riley. There we go. We've talked about Davis Riley enough. We got our lineup. This one's winning all the money. Perfect. Okay. So anyways, we just went over our strokes gained 4. That was 1 to 3. Strokes gained 5 is 0 to 2. That doesn't change even when we include the sweet spot ranks. Starts with Garrett Higo at 8,000. Then it just drops down. Webb Simpson is in this bucket. Don't feel super confident with that. But yeah, not terrible. And then Cody Pearson, or Pearson Cootie, I should say. Pearson Cootie. Again, talked about him. He's the only golfer in that Strokes Gained 6 bucket so far. We do have 4 openings that need to be filled. We'll get that probably later tonight or maybe even tomorrow morning. Pearson Cootie is a good golfer. He's an up-and-comer. I know he's played a few events on tour, but actually, I don't even know if he's actually played a few events on tour. I thought maybe he played as like an amateur at Augusta or an amateur at the US Open. I'm not sure exactly, but he's been making splashes collegiately, and I believe on the Korn Ferry Tour. So keep your eye on him. If you want to have, out of 100 lineups, put him in like 2 or 3 of them, by all means, go for it, because I think it's a decent play. But that is going to wrap up the buckets. We just went through all of them, all 6 stat categories, all 36 buckets. The Honda Classic is going to be very interesting this week. 2 10K golfers. That makes lineup building pretty. I mean, you can't really lock in a 10K golfer, although Sung Jae seems like a pretty good lock. And if you have confidence in Shane Lowry, by all means, I think that's a decent play as well. But with 8 9K golfers and 10 8K golfers, it seems like starting there and building your lineups out that way probably going to be the smartest thing to do. So we shall see what I want to do. I still probably going to play Sung Jae in about 20-25% of my lineups. Same goes with Shane Lowry. And then with the remaining 50%, probably just starting in the 9K range. And you know me, I usually like to start 10Ks. So it's going to be an interesting week. I do have a strategy video tomorrow. Just be aware. Let me pull this down. Strategy video. Again, I'm polling you guys. What would you rather me go live at? 6 p.m. Central Standard Time or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time? It's up to you. Whatever works best for you works best for me. Because 8 p.m. a lot of times I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs like, okay, ready to go, but I have it set at 8. I will also add this piece. There was only been 1 week, and that was the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, I believe. Where was it that one or was it the week after? It was the WM Phoenix Open. I had to wait for tee times to come out. And they came out right when I was getting to the marquee tee time segment. And so I updated them on the fly. Now, I'm not going to do that this week because the PGA Tour is, well, first of all, I won't be doing that any upcoming week. I can't do it on the fly anymore because PGA Tour has some weird, there's just weirdness that goes with copying data from their website. So I can't really copy the tee times over very clearly, or very easily, I should say. So I'm going to wait till the tee times come out because the marquee tee times are a big part of the Sweet Spot process. So either way, you can leave your opinion down below. Should I start at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time or should I start at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time? With tee times being the only variance as to what I choose. So if tee times come out early tomorrow and I update the spreadsheet to accommodate that, I will be ready to go by 6. So it's up to you. You let me know, 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. So I'll look forward to seeing that. I also might put a poll on YouTube with that just to see how you guys feel about that. But yeah, those are my updates. Just reminders of giveaways. If you want a chance to win $5 or $50, be subscribed and comment down below. Any of the videos I post this week, you get 1 free entry per video. So I'm rewarding those that participate on the channel. Also, if you're not yet signed up on Prize Picks, there's a link in the description below. You click that link, you sign up on Prize Picks using the promo code SweetSpot and put $20 in your account. I will give you $20 back. Plus Prize Picks will actually match your deposit up to $100. So you can put $100 in there. They'll give you another 100 and you'll get 20 from me. Just all around good deal, or play it for free. Put 20 bucks in, get 20 back from me, and they'll give you an additional 20. So you'll have $40 for free just by using the promo code SweetSpot. So again, link in the description for that. And of course, hopefully you were following along with me on the cheat sheet. Tomorrow I'll have the optimizer ready. So if you, or it'll be available. So if you want that, be subscribed, comment down below, email me at sweetspotdfs@gmail.com and let me know you're interested in it and I'll send it your way. But that's all that I have for this preview. So thank you for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.